Liz, for the last time, you're not getting any aggressive naval shots until you show me a beehole. Oh, Pokey!
Luke, just squeeze your last one out.
It's time, isn't it?
Yep. Make it count.
Already on it.
Perhaps it was my overexposure to Mako that left me with a few extra chromosomes. But when the news struck that Final Fantasy VII was being remade, leaving most in either a seraphic state or dead on the inside, my stomach was turning with skepticism and fear. My brow furrowed while my lily-white skin inflamed from anxiety, causing beads of sweat to glisten over my flesh, turning me pink like a roasting pig. My fingers flexed and curled, repeatedly cracking as if subconsciously pantomiming the cackling jowls of a hyena in the heat of bloodlust, dining on the husk of a poor Vegas boy. Ah, Christ, this is my Nanaki Goro Dojin. Alright, hyperbole aside, I do feel a bit alone in being skeptical about Nomura's capability to remake a Final Fantasy that's been fucked 6 ways to Sunday. For the sake of conveyance, we're going to have to point out certain plot points, so this is about to get spoiler heavy. And not just for 7, but the entire compilation itself, since it will more than likely be relevant to the remake. After seeing the gameplay revealed during last year's PSX presentation, it left me feeling even more confused. My skepticism resumed, though with a hint of potential and just a smidgen of fear. Mind you, I'm not saying I hate what I saw. In fact, I get exactly why most are celebrating it. It looks like the gameplay that Versus 13 was supposed to have during its pre-Tabata revisions, but I have my reasons for not sharing in the hype. Do I like 7? Hell, I love it. I'd say about a cunt hair more than 6, but Tactic stomps all their shit in, so it doesn't really matter.
The issue lies within an aggressive cross-marketing campaign that kinda shamelessly exploited the popularity of 7, the compilation. Now I get it, each installment seems to attract a fanbase that will cling to a favourite as if it was sacrosanct or a political ideology. What Tactics is for Pokey, 9 for myself. That being understood, we're not trying to tell you that if you like the compilation or feel like it's a strong expansion to the world of Final Fantasy VII, then you're wrong. Taste is taste, it's as simple as that. Shit, Dirge Cerberus is a guilty pleasure of my own. Cart me off to the pits, I've been a bad boy. Regardless, it's thanks to this extended universe that a remake of Final Fantasy VII could be scholastically qualified as a combustible. Pretty sure you'd find it in the Anarchist Cookbook. The audience is divided. For as many people who celebrate the extended lore, there are those who consider it all non-canon, sticking strictly to vanilla 7's narrative. It's difficult to get two people in the same room who agree on what the definitive Cloud is, the dork from the game, or the self-loathing hyper-depressive from Advent Children.
And if you're feeling adventurous, ask them if it's Eris or Aerith, assuming you have a thing for Worldstar Hip-Hop Ghetto Gladiators, and who doesn't? I do. So now here we have the tough choices. Final Fantasy VII Remake's fate lying on the shoulders of one Tetsuya Nomura, one whose decision-making skills I find myself often questioning. But in terms of whether or not I consider the compilation as canon, or even Nomura as a good director, here, let me try to be concise. Nah. Nomura is a damn good artist and one hell of a lead combat designer. I love Kingdom Hearts solely because of the gameplay, that much I can give him. But let's break this down. If we're to go by his resume and judge his potential based on his past work as both a director and the responsibility he had for the base story, Kingdom Hearts doesn't exactly help his case.
That thing right there, it's called the Keyblade, isn't it? Yep, seems like these days everybody's got one of those.
Not only because it became needlessly convoluted and began to break its own narrative rules, but also because of the excess of sub-chapters we've been sold before its official 3rd chapter. And I find it so peculiar how he handled Advent Children to be so alienating when juxtaposed to its source material.
In Advent Children, the livestream produces a disease that attacks anyone, but mostly children, painting their bodies with pustules that drain black ooze and fills them with a fantasy form of AIDS, geostigma. Geostigma is comprised of Sephiroth's will, circulating through the livestream, meant to dominate the human body, killing their immune system and activate their reunion cells, effectively completing what Hojo had experimented with in the form of a rather unceremonious AIDS shower. The fallout of Geostigma is the prime motivator which turns Cloud from the dork who dubs Barrett a teddy bear and who will trumpet Let's Mosey before the final battle into the infamous sulking tit he's now known as. Not without good reason. Sick kids are a solid enough motive to feel shitty for what you've done, but the real question is, was any of this necessary? Round up a few child predators and secure your bulletproof goggles, suddenly it looks as if Tetsuya Nomura mentally divorced himself from 7 back in the day due to a lack of grey and gloom, and boom! Nomura's contribution isn't alone in how it felt explicitly disinterested in keeping true to the feeling or logic of the original world, built by Sakaguchi. The entire compilation feels as if it was interpretive.
It would be irresponsible to just damn all these aspects with a big fucking shotgun, so let's go over these changes, both the inconsequential and the significant. First, let's dip our toes into the inconsequential, shall we? Cloud's famously oversized blade, the Buster Sword, has gone through a few redesigns, but one such odd choice was to add a diagonal engraving to the base of the blade, along only one half of the width. It's a somewhat elegant pattern, even at times accompanied with an elegant hilt, giving the Buster Sword's simple design some flair. But why? Do engravings provide some sort of tactical advantage? The Buster Sword itself is a weapon of legacy, one that we first saw passed down to Cloud by mortally wounded Zack. Now, Zack never had much of a character prior to Crisis Core, but after seeing the way he was portrayed, it's difficult to imagine he could ever join the elite ranks of Soldier. He's a bit thick, makes brash and irrational decisions, and all around just can't seem to sit still. Before this, he was shown to be a bit preppy and extroverted, but not to the point of drawing parallels to Naruto.
And his relationship with Aerith? That went from being what we could assume was fleeting to a full-blown love story. I can understand wanting to flesh this out, but does it warrant a retcon? And on the subject of humouring retcons, Angeal and Genesis are easily Tabata's most invasive contributions. If you go out of your way to insert a rival of Sephiroth who's mad with jealousy due to lacking fame, shitting copies of himself, bearing a big old black wing, it would logically stay in people's minds, as he was a pretty big fucking deal, and that's besides the fact that he decided to show up for the defining Nibelheim reactor event. Then we have Angeal. As a mentor, sure, this affects virtually nothing. As an excuse to extend the legacy of the Buster Sword, pushing it, but it's ultimately harmless. As the end result of Project Gilliam, the perfect being who can impose his will on people on a cellular level, again, that's a pretty big deal. One you either commit to or erase entirely.
It's here where I see that the compilation of Final Fantasy VII had become a demonstration of insatiable excess, with no central guidance to demand restraint. One Sephiroth wasn't enough, was it? So they divided him into three. Shit. One guy with wings wasn't enough, so they turned it into a genetic fashion statement.
One mad scientist? No. 2. By the way, Hojo uploaded his personality to the internet so we can bring him back. Hey, another Buster Sword user while we're at it.
Oh, did we not go deep enough underground of Midgar by the end of Disc 2? We'll go further, because now we have another Mako reactor in the Deep Ground Squad. Hey yo, more weapons. Stat.
Draw out Zack's death. Longer.
Harder.
Faster. Deeper.
Fuck it, Air sent 89 letters to Zack. Hey yo, could we get some Turks in here? Oh shit, let's take one of our spin-offs and make a Lost Chapter spin-off for it on a fucking cell phone. Yo, I'm so high.
Don't make me beg here. Buy the mobile games, the handheld game, the console games, the movie, the novella, the anime, and don't forget the critical narrative Dakimakura. With confirmation that they're going to cherry pick whichever of these superfluous narrative branches they desire to stitch onto Nomura's construct, it's got me shaking in my super deformed low poly boots. For a man who's very aware of the fact that he can't keep his own narrative straight,
Seems like these days everybody's got one of those.
my confidence only sunk when the news hit that the remake will be a multi-part series.
Each entry will have its own unique story. Square ejaculated with confidence. As a gaming experience, each entry will have the volume of content equal to a full-sized game, they then reassured with a quivering squelch. The problem with that is that there's no syllabus for what qualifies as a full-sized game. The worth of how long something takes to beat and the value of the filler content are incredibly subjective from dev to dev and customer to customer. Some conject that it could turn Midgar from an 8-hour stay to a 20-hour romp. Essentially, every segment will be stretched thin to kill time. It's not worth humoring past a fleeting glance, but if that were the case, I don't see how that would be a positive alternative. Reading an interview with Engadget, Nomura responded to a claim that the teaser was vague, feeling like a sequel or a prequel. He said, "That's exactly why I wanted to have the word remake into the trailer. The original is out again, the HD PC version is coming to PS4 already. We don't need two of the same thing. If it's a full remake, then of course we want to take a different approach. If we actually just upgraded the visuals, there'd be no need for me to direct it."
It's claims like this that leave me feeling uncertain and skeptical of Nomura's ability to tackle this project as a director. Couple this with the fact that there's talk of the Honeybee Inn's raunchiness being toned down, Cloud looking bleh, an understated atmosphere, this one guy that looks kind of like he recognizes Cloud, action combat, and the seemingly blatant disregard for implementing a world map. And I begin to see less of a remake and more of a game that's ashamed of its roots. I just don't follow the logic where Nomura's coming from when defining a remake. It sounds like he's building the antithesis to what many people consider the unwritten law of remakes, 2002's Resident Evil. It celebrated the original, but added to the map without bloating our visit. Added story without derailing the lore, not that Resident Evil's lore was ever held sacrosanct. Added mechanics without taking away from the core gameplay, and only served to improve upon the original experience, rather than overhaul it. When the fans were approached about how a Resident Evil 2 remake should be handled, the comments were nearly unanimous in pointing at the original remake as a reference point.
I mean, frankly, I see a more loving and respectful embrace of 7 from both Smash 4 and the upcoming Dissidia. Are we blinded by nostalgia? We don't think so, but it's futile to try to convince you otherwise. None of this was written to condemn the remake before we've gotten our grubby little hands on it. How cool would it be if each episode was one whole title from the compilation? I know we're groping conjecture here again, but it would give credence to their nebulous definition of a remake. And honestly, from the teaser, it did emanate positive vibes. Fun, joy, hype, smarminess, and scootin'. Solid. How many bones in my body sit in protest? None. Am I excited? Nah. But hey, I'll tip my bulletproof goggles if they manage to breed something that doesn't resemble Frankenstein's cum dumpster.